In this video on Evony the King's Return, we're going to be looking at research in the Academy building, starting with the Advancement tab at the top here. We're just going to run through what is available in here, and then I'll go back through again with some suggestions on how to work your way down this tree. So first we got a builder slot, production and gathering speeds for different resources. I do have a resources video on my channel, so do check that out if you're not too sure what that means. It's just basically producing resources in your city or gathering them with your troops on the world map. Construction speed for building those buildings and upgrading them faster. These are more production speed and gathering speed for ore. Oh sorry, actually stone. My bad. Carriage wheel for troop load. March speed for your gathering marches, which is pretty worthless until you have nothing better to research. And it's just going to be the same down these trees. So you got more production speeds of these different resources. You got research speed on these tablet things. More construction. And it's just copied down here. You got coinage also, which is going to be mostly for spenders. So if you're levying a lot of gold in the keep, which uses gems, then you could max this out to get even more gold per time that you do that. But I don't really recommend it necessarily for non-spenders, at least at the beginning of the game. Gems gathering. You can get this up, especially if you're not a spender or you don't spend too much and you need additional gems. You can get this up and then gather gems on the world map. But it's fairly expensive to get up, 1.5 million there. So just try to figure out if it's going to be worth it for you, just for, maybe like a 70% boost to gathering speed from there. And then all of these are the same. You can just go ahead and click on all of them to find out which are gathering and which are productions. So personally, when I was working down this tree, I started out by getting production up on 2 resources and gathering up on 2 resources. That means I save gold. If I were to do all 4 resources for gathering and all 4 resources for production in the main city, that's going to spread my gold so thin and my time so thin. So I focused, and I'm still at the moment just focusing on 2 resources for gathering and 2 for production. Personally, this is lumber and food at the moment, and then I'm gathering the other 2 resources. And this will be reflected in my research. So all of these ones here are food and lumber. So I've maxed those out, although, this is gathering speed, so I don't technically need these bottom 2. Construction speed are going to be great to get up as high as possible, to be able to get those buildings going faster and to max out all of your levels faster. And obviously it really stacks over time when you're playing for multiple months. To get that construction speed up early is fantastic. Troop load, it's okay. You probably don't want to get that particular one up. You probably want to get the advanced one up. That's going to be worth more than this. Again, going through gathering speeds, probably doing 2 on gathering, 2 on producing, getting the research speed up, getting construction speed up as you see here. Maybe logistics if you wanted to, especially if you're trying to steal resources from other players early on or even late game. That's going to be very helpful, that research. Gathering speeds, march speed, sorry, it's probably pointless unless you just feel like getting it up, but it's really not worth a whole lot. We've gone through coinage, gems gathering. You get advanced silo if you want to produce more food and to keep it protected from your troops eating it, but it's probably not recommended to get this up if you don't have too much gold, especially if you're active and you're always using your food anyway. And again, just coming through here, remembering I've found, especially with up to 5 or 10 levels of these higher researches that are further down each tree, that you can actually get more bang for your buck with the gold you're spending versus the percentages that you're getting for upgrading it. So actually upgrading the lower ones to 5 or something is going to be better than upgrading one that's up here to 10 or something. Maybe not overall, but just in terms of how much gold you're spending, it's actually better to do that. So always work your way down trees, and that's going to help you out visualizing your path with where you're going with your research. And it tends to actually be a little bit better to research lower levels of those that are down the tree rather than maxing the top ones up. Now in the defense tab here, we got defending troop attack and defense. We got wall HP, and I think that's, yeah, restores more when you repair your walls. Advanced stockpile, I'm not sure what that one is. Resource capacity. Trap attacks, more trap attack here for all traps. Archer tower, trap capacity, trap building speed, crafting speed, revival speed, more attack, more archer tower, more trap capacity, hospital capacity, healing speed, and reduce the cost of healing troops. Troop upkeep down, and more stats. Trap quality is going to be for trap triggering traps, which is a great research. Getting the building speed up, I believe, yep. And again, you know, with all of these, I will go through the next few a little faster because you can click on each of them and understand what each of them are for. If there's anything that you don't know the meaning of, let me know down below and I'll get back to you to explain it. Just out of the interest of time, I'm not going to go through every single thing of every single branch. But personally, working down this tree, I did leave this one originally. For instance, these troop attacks are worth 10%, but how much gold that cost, I mean, was probably 3 to 5 times as much more expensive per percentage point than just going through the military branch, which works for defense anyway. So maxing these out is not really in the question until you've done some other things in the military branch. Especially don't really max these fortifications and stuff out. I only did that because OCD. But trap attacks are going to be good again with this one. Perhaps focusing on building your stats up for your troops and building more of those two types of troops for attack and defense. But then on defense, with the traps, only building 2 as well to complement your army. So if you're killing ranged and mounted, to then have the other troop types that are gonna help you out. So could do that. Although if you are spending a little bit or you're in an older server, do try to go for probably all of them, just to be safe. Unless you're really heavily playing into maybe just killing ranged with your traps, for instance, because a lot of people like to use ranged on attack, but it kind of depends. Just try to split your research so you're not trying to do everything at once. Try to just focus on a few things for defense, military, researchers. The archer tower is pretty good to get up, but these are going to be ones where you don't really want to max it until you have the gold too. Maybe just getting everything to level 5 in general is going to be helpful. Your trap capacity is going to be good. Early game, you're not necessarily going to need it, but you will want hundreds of thousands of traps eventually. So getting it up early could be helpful. Trap power ones are very good because it boosts trap attack for all types of trap. Getting the building speed up, I've personally not maxed it because although people kill my traps and I have to replace them, I'm not trying to train them all the time. So to get this maxed out at the moment for me is not really worth it, and it may be the case for you too. So do bear that in mind. There is a cap on training traps, and so having more building speed may not be particularly helpful, especially if you're not always battling other players. Crafting speed is going to be a great one to get up because you're always going to need new gear, starting with your base yellow, then King's Gear, Dragon Gear. You're always going to be building it, and for multiple generals. So getting this up early is going to be great. Again, same principle with all of these. Attack ones, probably focus on 2 or all 4 if you can. Trap power again is going to be good. Defense capacity is going to be good. Archer tower you can go for, but probably don't max it out until you get the gold. Medical power, max this out as soon as you can. More hospital capacity means less tiers in the end. You're not going to be losing those troops permanently, which no one loves to have happen. Medicine and pharmacy here, reducing the cost of healing and the actual speed itself is going to be great as well if you're in PvP, but if you're purposely bubbling and hiding from other players for some time, you might not need it, although it's going to be helpful, the pharmacy one in Battlefield. Cooking is going to help you with troop upkeep. more attack ones, which again, you're not going to get as much percentage per gold. So you see that's 3.6 million. And you'll see when we go over to military that it's not going to cost that amount for that. Although that is all troops, that's not just one type. Trap quality. So this is trap triggering chance. This is going to be great for if you have a lot of traps, if you have high trap research, actually getting the triggering rate up is going to help you make use of them more. So they obviously trigger more. And this is another trap building speed that you probably don't want to focus on. And these last ones are helpful as well to get your stats up. But you do need a fairly high academy to be doing that. Now with military, again, if you can focus on all four, or at least focus on ranged and mounted to get started, maybe ground, then maybe siege after that, going through, probably maxing these original ones out, all of these, tracing as well, just for march speed to monsters, but it is quite costly, so even getting this to 10 or 12 near the start of the game is going to be good, just to leave it there for a while. I've maxed all of these out just because I could, but you don't have to. You can just come through here, because like I said, when you get those higher researchers, they're actually, for the first like up to 10 levels or so, they're actually cheaper per percentage, maybe even all 20 levels they might be, I'm not quite sure. Because as you see here, you're getting almost 10% for less than the other one we looked at, which was only like 3% or something like that. But that was to all troop types. But at least with this one, you know what you're getting, and it's going to be helpful because people like to, for instance, use ranged on attack and even defense as well. So just focusing on cavalry for bosses, archers for attack and defending to get started. Eventually ground is going to help you on defense and even siege. They can be used on attack too, but I personally have been focusing on ranged and mounted to get started. And now I'm actually leaning into the other two as well, once I have the resources to do so. Conscription is going to be good for training speed. Tactical XP up here is good for killing monsters and getting additional XP, but it probably doesn't add up a huge amount necessarily, but you can get it up. It will cost a lot of gold though. March speed is always going to be good, and it does actually affect monster march speed as well, but it's not going to give you as much percentage per upgrade as the monster march speed research itself would give. More HP ones. People like to focus on attack, especially for cavalry, so you can kill those bosses easier. And then just attack in general for all troop types outside of that, and HP first generally. But actually on ground, when you're trying to use it on defense, actually using HP and defense is going to be a little bit better, and maybe leaving attack behind for a little while, just so they can survive more in battle. Got coordination from march size. That's going to be another key one for getting additional points on the monster, the world boss, and just, well, actually monsters as well, I guess, the boss monsters. Advanced dispatch, I got this very early on. Great, like 20 million gold, but it gives you that additional march slot. But that means I've been gathering with 5 marches for like a whole month or more, which adds up to a lot of resources. You got these ones as well that are going to be increasing your stats only when you're attacking by however much percent, up to 10% I guess, for all troop types. And then this one over here so does also attack and defense. Another march size, and so on. So just coming back down and recapping, focusing on 2, probably cavalry and ranged, then eventually add in some ground, and then siege is probably going to be the best way to work your way down this tree. Definitely get your conscription up, tracing up, tactical XP maybe up to level 10, and so on. So getting your march speed up your march size up is going to help as well, but you can do that through the rally spot. Now in medical aid, hospital capacity matters. So getting this up early is good. I've personally not maxed it out just because it is quite expensive, even at level 16 here. 3 million gold. I have gold, but I'm saving that for other reasons. Getting the healing speed up for particular troop types is going to be good. So if you have more of one troop type, maybe consider getting the healing speed up more for that particular troop type, but I've got it quite even here. I do need to max these out, I just haven't at the moment. They do cost research stones, at this level at least. So that's going to be some key researches there. Getting rescue up, it is fairly expensive for what you're getting, but that's going to increase your death turning wounded rate. So instead of permanent dead troops, when you're attacking, you will actually have wounded instead. So that's a very good thing, but it takes a while to add up given that it's only 1% per time and it's only for one troop type. So probably don't get this too high at the beginning, especially if you can get the hospital capacity and Holy Palace up to your keep level to account for that. But eventually you do want to maxing these out, which I will be myself soon. And these other revival ones are going to be very similar, but it's a much lower percent, you see. Yeah, you got just all troop types here, but it is expensive, 15 million. This is based on tier, so the healing speed of tier 11 and 12, I'm getting that up at the moment, 8 to 10 and so on. Do bear in mind you could get these up, but by the time you've maybe got this up to a higher level, you might have an even higher tier of troop and it might become worthless. So do bear that in mind when getting these up, that you might be wasting gold on them, as I have actually a little bit, seeing as I don't really have those other tiers. More revival ones, super first aid, and again another hospital capacity which I've maxed out for my current keep level, which is keep 27, and that's just going to get your hospital capacity up even more. Now I have unlocked these, which I didn't actually realize, but you can go through these too as well. Super surgery is going to be good for those higher tier troops. So again, coming down here, hospital scale up, super hospital capacity where possible, but that is a pretty high keep level for a lot of people that are probably watching the video, and just general healing speeds, and when possible getting these rescue and revivals up, and even first aid, but it's very expensive, so it's better just to rely on your hospital capacity, even from the defense research for hospital capacity that we looked at just before. Now in Alliance I've neglected this one. I could do a little bit more. These transportation ones are probably not really worth going for. The help time's good, especially during the undead event, to get those small researches done fast where people are spamming the help button for their Alliance members. If you're looking to reinforce other players and stuff like that, getting these up might help. Personally, I haven't really been doing that, but getting the help amount up is going to be good too, to increase the amount of people that can help you with each given building and research, to get the timer down on them, making it easier to gather speed, the gather speed in Alliance Farm or Alliance Sawmill and so on. I haven't got those up because I just gather on the world map, but I guess you could get those up. But it's probably not worth it when you can be spending gold on other things in the meantime. Although if you're in server versus server and things like that and you can't gather on the world map, it may be good to have these researchers up for a resource or two that your Alliance likes to gather. You can make use of that. Reinforcing march speed. This is going to make it a little easier to reinforce members that are being attacked. You can get that up. But just in general, just to keep this video length down, I probably wouldn't go through these too early on. I've gone through quite a few of them just to unlock it, but it's not particularly necessary. I think my game's actually glitched out, and I don't know why I'm able to view all of these. It doesn't have a lock on them. But just with the other ones, I'm sure I've explained enough of these things for you to be able to click on them and figure out what most of them are. Again, ask in the comments down below if there's anything you need explained. Just one thing I did want to point out, there are Relic Exploration ones. Relics are terrible, don't get the research up for those. Don't get the reinforcing up if you don't plan on reinforcing. And if you don't plan on gathering, don't just get all 4 of those up. Probably ignore the Alliance tab other than the Alliance help stuff. until you have a little bit more gold, and you need some of these researchers. Now the sub-city is similar. It's quite expensive for what you get. Sub-cities take a very long time to become useful, other than the mayor and their debuffs that they have. So getting these up, like I've ignored it mostly, probably not worth it. But getting the material speeds up, getting the levy up a little bit may help, getting the in-city defense and attack and so on up. Survival rates don't really matter in there at the moment, but just material speeds is what I've gone for. Getting construction speed up a little bit will be helpful, but a lot of these researchers are not really worth it until you are having multi-million sub-cities that are probably well over level 20 keep level, and probably like 8 or 9 sub-cities before you're really going to get any use out of these, especially because a lot of people untick their sub-cities and don't actually use them in battle, at least when they're a little bit scared of people using their sub-cities to attack them from it. But moving on, we're going to be looking at the recovery tab. So this is going to be all about the Holy Palace and deserters that you'll see on your reports. I do also have a video for report reading if you wanted to check that out to learn a little bit more about deserters. But just through the Holy Palace, you're going to be able to revive some of the troops that die in battle, especially on attack. But starting with Holy Palace capacity, some of these researchers are not going to give you too much per one. It's just going to be better to upgrade the building itself until you really need this research. But, you know, getting capacity up is going to help you revive more troops at a time, more power at a time. It's just going to make it a little easier. But the better one that's going to be good for getting those back as soon as possible is the actual production speed of the horns themselves, which if you need more information about that, you can ask down below about how horns work and things like that, or just look at the information on the building itself, the Holy Palace. Again, more capacity here. But again, I mean, that's only 2.6%, so it's probably not worth it too much getting those other than the horn production speed until you can get these other ones. I haven't really noticed it costing too much resources to get these troops back, so, you know, getting the resource consumption of reviving ranged troops down and things like that is probably not particularly worth it. You got death into troop soul rate. These are good to get up, but you need a high academy to get it. And it's just going to be the same copied down below. So where you probably want to focus more on production, things like that, but anyone that's going to have this stuff unlocked at Academy 33 and things like that, you're probably going to know a little bit more about me, exactly which ones you need and don't need. So go through, I'm sure you can work those out from me explaining the other ones. Lastly, I just wanted to mention, I do have a Monarch Gear video that you can check out, but in terms of research, if you just wanted to go to your Monarch Gear by clicking your avatar in the top left and applying, each time you do a research, applying the research crown. Also, I have a duties video, so you could go to your keep, go to duties, go to the middle tab, I forget what it's called, going to your keep duty and then adding or appointing a general, to your academy, and appointing a general, and that will get your research speed up 10, 20, 30%, something like that, depending on the level of general you're appointing to it, and as well as the crown could get you up tens of percentage points. So that's always going to help, as well as the advancement tab, research for research speed, and all of those things are going to help. If I've missed anything out in this video, I know I've missed military advance, but I don't have that unlocked, so I'm just leaving it out for now. If I've missed out anything, if you have any questions, leave it down below. Feel free as well to suggest video ideas down below. I know this is a long video, I just wanted to quickly mention as well that I do have a website coming that's going to be having all of this information and more in text form with translations and things like that. So do keep an eye on my description sections for that link that will be going out eventually. It's taking a little while to produce the website, but that will be here soon. Thank you for watching this video and supporting the channel.